Coming up on BCN today, Alberta's education minister announces funding changes to Alberta's schools, but it has critics skeptical. Plus, the family of a missing man says they have new information that puts Marshall Iwasa in Lethbridge a day later than originally thought. And a resident of the burnt-down Pincher Creek Landmark Hotel is now homeless and looking to GoFundMe.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Alberta's Education Minister Adriana Lagrange has announced funding changes to Alberta's schools, saying that more money will flow directly to schools, although she declined to release specific numbers, adding those will come in the February 27th budget.
Today we are announcing key themes and changes. Put simply, this new funding model is a better way to do things. It is predictable and sustainable. It is more efficient, it reduces red tape, it gives school boards more flexibility and autonomy, and as I said at the very start, it drives more dollars to the classroom.
But Alberta's opposition says the province's plan to change the way it calculates school funding will mean even less money for growing urban schools. NDP critic Sarah Hoffman says there's no money to recognize annual enrollment spikes that have been repeated in places like Edmonton and Calgary and the surrounding communities for years. Alberta's largest school boards say they need to see the budget details before they can fully assess the changes. A resident of Pincher Creek's historic King Edward Hotel has had a GoFundMe page set up for him to help him rebuild his life. Alexander Fleming suffers from celiac disease and type 1 diabetes, meaning that he's had to deal with high medical expenses and strict dietary needs. He had been renting an apartment in the building, and all of his possessions, including his own furniture, is now gone. The Alberta landmark went up in flames at around 4 a.m. Saturday morning. Fire officials say 10 people were inside when the fire erupted and were safely evacuated. The King Edward Hotel was built in 1904 as one of 4 original hotels in Pincher Creek. Lethbridge firefighters battled a house fire on Pagan Court West on Friday. The fire was contained to the storage room, but the house sustained extensive smoke and fire damage. There were no injuries as no one was home at the time of the blaze. An investigation into what caused the fire is underway. And the family of a 26-year-old man who went missing in mid-November says they have recently discovered new information about his last known location. It was originally believed that Marshall Iwasa left Lethbridge on November 17th to return to Calgary where he was attending school. But Marshall's sister, Paige Fogan, shared on the Find Marshall Iwasa Facebook group that they were able to confirm that after leaving their mother's house on November 17th, Marshall was still in Lethbridge as of Monday, November 18th at 8:30 a.m. on the north side industrial area between Shearing and Churchill Industrial Park. The family is asking anyone who may have been in the area and who may have seen something to come forward, or anyone who has security cameras in the area to review the footage for possible clues into his disappearance. According to Paige, this new information has been confirmed to them by Lethbridge Police. A body located in a rural area southeast of Airdrie is believed to be that of a 19-year-old who went missing over the weekend. An autopsy is expected to be completed this week, but police believe that it's the body of a 19-year-old Calix Langano, who was reported missing and was last seen in northeast Calgary in the early morning hours on Saturday, February 15th. The RCMP Major Crimes Unit are now assisting with this investigation, and no further information will be made at this time pending the autopsy. The province is looking at cutting public sector wages to help get the provincial debt under control. That has not sat well, though, with AUPE President Guy Smith, who says the 1% cut will really hurt Albertans. Lethbridge East MLA Nathan Newdorf says that's not true. He says the union is using that as a negotiating tactic.
They have the right to protest and make their feelings known. They do that very well. They have a loud voice. We are not killing people. I think everybody realizes that's a little bit of over-the-top language. We are negotiating through some tough times. They haven't seen raises in a lot of years, and they're making that known. But again, we've been very clear for a while with the fiscal situation of the province. We're going for 0 raises, and we are the highest paid jurisdiction in the country.
Catch the full interview with Lethbridge East MLA Nathan Neudorf as he also discusses Premier Kenney's comments about phasing Alberta out of the energy sector. That is coming up in the second half of our show. The trial of Gary Lippa began Tuesday in Lethbridge. He was charged with sexual assault of a minor. BCN's Loris Alexander was at the Lethbridge courthouse with the details.
39-year-old Gary James Lippa stood in court for trial today. Lippa was accused of assaulting and luring a 13-year-old child back in 2017. The Crown is expected to call in 10 witnesses before defense begins its case.
Streets Alive Mission will be hosting the annual Coldest Night of the Year walk in Lethbridge on February 22nd. The event looks to bring awareness to homelessness and help raise money for charities that will bring light to the struggles of the homeless communities.
It is a walkathon to raise awareness and funds for the homeless and for the poverty stricken here in Lethbridge. So the funds raised here will stay here. Those funds will be put into the programs that we run. They'll go into helping with the food bank. We have an emergency food bank that'll go into the dinner program that we run 7 days a week. It'll go into the pin bank and definitely be here for supports for the people that we serve.
This year, participants will walk around the Evangelical Free Church in Lethbridge. For more information, you can visit Streets Alive online. The Sphere program team at Lethbridge College will be receiving an award from the province for their work in real-life healthcare training environments. The honor will be presented to them by the Alberta Colleges and Faculties Association in May.
We were nominated and selected for the award. We received news last week. It's a provincial award from a CIFA for innovation in teaching. We have 2 high-fidelity adult mannequins, like the one that you see featured here, and we use those primarily with our nursing programs, the practical nurse program and the bachelor nursing programs, to support different scenarios that they work on during their nursing education.
The Sphere team will be receiving a $1,500 award and the Lethbridge College Faculty Association $500. February is Heart Month across Canada. There are currently close to 2.5 million Canadians who suffer from heart disease. Canadians are encouraged to learn about their risk factors and to make one change to improve their heart health. BCN's Loris Alexander was at Orange Theory Fitness to find out what has locals' hearts pumping.
Because we focus on heart rate-based interval training and it's such a staple of what we do, the Heart and Stroke Foundation North America wide partner a lot with Orange Theory Fitness, and a lot of it is just simply for awareness.
Regular exercise can lower heart disease risk factors like blood pressure and stress.
I'm learning to pace my heart, which was all over the place before, so it's consistently improving my panic attacks. I have less depression and less panic attacks. My PTSD is lower. My doctor hasn't had to increase my medications, so it's definitely bringing me more life.
It gives me energy and I feel more alive. Like when I work out in the morning, I can do much more in the day, or when I work out right now at 1 p.m., I can do much more. I can be more productive. I don't know, I feel happier and I feel fresher, I feel lighter, and I feel like I'm doing something productive. So that's why I work out.
A healthy diet and sleeping at least 7 to 9 hours a night consistently has also been shown to lower the risk of heart disease.
The most important one would be that sleep pattern. You want to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night to allow for optimal recovery. And again, that's going to vary depending on how much you're doing in the day before. Next is going to be that nutrition. Okay, we put milligram quantities of medicines in our body, and those have some side effects, things like that. That affects our body system.
For Bridge City News, I'm Loris Alexander.
Thank you, Loris. Canadians who were killed when a Ukrainian passenger plane was shot down and crashed minutes after takeoff near Tehran will be honored in a tribute at Edmonton City Hall this Saturday. 13 people from Edmonton, 9 citizens, and 4 international students were among the 176 people who died on the flight. Iranian Heritage Society of Edmonton President Reza Ekbari says the families are counting on the federal government to keep up the pressure on Iran to release the black boxes from the crash so the data can be properly analyzed by facilities in France. Via Rail is going to resume service this Thursday between Quebec City, Montreal, and Ottawa after receiving the green light from CN Rail. Almost all other Via Rail services remain canceled with the exception of one Northern Ontario line and another to Churchill, Manitoba. Via service has been halted by rail blockades set up by protesters showing solidarity with Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs opposed to the Coastal GasLink pipeline project. Only trains that serve full trips between Quebec City and Ottawa will resume service. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau emerged from a meeting saying he wants a quick and peaceful resolution to anti-pipeline protests that have been devastating to Canada's rail service. While he spoke of the impact this is having on our economy, he didn't offer any specifics on his government's plan to address it.
We had a good meeting this morning of the Incident Response Group, discussions with ministers. I made some phone calls to Indigenous leadership as well as to a number of premiers. I understand how worrisome this is for so many Canadians and difficult for many people and families across the country. We're going to continue to focus on resolving this situation quickly and peacefully, and that's what we're going to do.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe has convened a conference call today of premiers to discuss anti-pipeline blockades across the country. Moe, who is chairman of the Council of the Federation, says in a tweet that he's taken the step due to, quote, a lack of federal leadership in addressing this ongoing illegal activity. A spokesman for the premier said in an email that Moe made the decision following requests from a number of premiers. Indigenous people and supporters have shut down the CN Rail network in eastern Canada and temporarily blocked traffic on streets and bridges and ports in multiple cities to oppose a British Columbia natural gas pipeline project. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland has offered thanks to New Democrats and stinging criticism of the Conservatives after the NDP supported the minority Liberal government's efforts to more speedily ratify the new North American trade agreement. Freeland says Tuesday the Commons Trade Committee will end its hearings on February 28th, allowing the ratification to move forward. The Liberals needed the support of at least one other party to get their way because they don't command a majority in the House of Commons. Freeland said that she was surprised that Conservatives wanted to extend the study into March, but was grateful to New Democrat MPs for supporting the government.
The Conservatives had sought to extend debate at committee on the new NAFTA beyond March 12th. We think that that is too long and would have created unnecessary, needless, and dangerous uncertainty in the Canadian economy. The NDP has a greater commitment to certainty in the Canadian economy. The NDP has a better understanding of the value of trade with the United States than the Conservative Party does.
About 500 passengers left the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Yokohama, Japan today after a 2-week quarantine period that failed to stop the spread of the new coronavirus among passengers and crew. Japanese health officials announced 79 more cases from the ship, bringing the total to 621, including at least 43 Canadians. Some experts are calling the Diamond Princess a perfect virus incubator. Ottawa has sent a plane to bring Canadians home, but it's not clear when it will leave Japan. Well, lots of sunshine in the forecast today, but chilly temperatures this morning, but it's going to warm up all the way to the pluses this week. I'll have full weather details for you right after this short break. Stay with us. And And welcome back. Here's a look at our weather highlights for today and tomorrow in Lethbridge. Lots of sunshine coming at us today. -1 is the expected high. -9 overnight. It's going to feel a bit chillier though with the wind chill. And then into tomorrow, we're going to get into the plus temperatures. 7 degrees is the high expected for tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. And then look what's going to happen. By Friday, we could see those plus temperatures turn into double-digit temperatures. 10 degrees is the high expected on Friday. 9 for Saturday, so not a bad looking weekend here. High of 3 degrees on Sunday, and 0 degrees is the expected high for Monday. We are expecting a chance of flurries on Monday, and then a high of a -2 for Tuesday. Now the average highs and lows for this time of year, 2 degrees being the average high, -10 the low. We're definitely in that range. 15 degrees though was the high temperature recorded on this day. That was in 1977, and the chilliest day on record was -37. It was back in 1986. The sun rose this morning at 7:35 a.m. and it will set at 5:55 p.m. So as we're getting closer and closer to 6 p.m. with the light still out, which is lovely. Lots of sunshine today expected on the west coast. Victoria's high -1, 0 degrees expected in Vancouver, -7 the expected high for Calgary with increasing cloud there, and a chilly -19 is expected today up in Edmonton. And then we're going to look at what's happening across the rest of the prairies. They have some extreme cold happening there. -28 is the high in Saskatoon, -29 in Regina, and -27 the expected high in Winnipeg under those bright, sunny, but chilly skies. And then further east, we've got Toronto sitting at -3 today, -7 the expected high over in Ottawa with lots of sunshine expected there. They are expecting some flurries though today in Montreal with a high of -4. Looking into Atlantic Canada, 2 degrees is the high expected today in Fredericton. Increasing cloud, extreme cloudiness actually in Halifax with a high of 3 degrees, and increasing cloud in Charlottetown with a high of 2 degrees. St. John's, Newfoundland could expect some snow today as well with a high of -2. There you go. That is your forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Pitcher Butte Trinity Church is hosting a play entitled Amazing Grace, the story of John Newton, on Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m. Enjoy this solo performance featuring Deanna Storfy from Acting Up Drama, as she brings to life the true story behind one of the most popular and recognized hymns of the 20th and 21st centuries. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased by calling Sandra at 403-732-4787. Come for a fun evening filled with musical entertainment to the Lethbridge Community Brass Choir's Brass Day Concert, featuring international trumpet soloist and jazz artist Rex Richardson on Saturday, February 29th, beginning at 7 p.m. at College Drive Community Church. Tickets are $15 and free for children under 12. Purchase yours today at CASA or visit lcbs.yapcity.com. For details, go to lcbs.ca. The Kinsman Club of Lethbridge invites you to their 6th annual Mardi Gras Charity Gala on Saturday, March 14th at the Sandman Signature Lethbridge Lodge. The evening begins at 5 p.m., where you can enjoy the ambiance of the French Quarter, which will also feature a 5-course Cajun meal, games and entertainment, a silent auction, dance, and much more. Early bird tickets are $72 and can be purchased at eventbrite.ca. Proceeds to go towards the Ready, Set, Go Back to School Fair. For details, visit the Kinsman Club of Lethbridge's Facebook page. And that's your Bridge City News community calendar.
Dwight Ball announced his intention to step down as Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador in a surprise video released Monday night. In an interview, the Premier of more than 4 years said his decision was his choice alone out of a desire to spend more time with his family. He defended his announcing his resignation in a pre-taped video and said that he stands by his record as Premier despite the financial hardships that he will be leaving behind.
Tonight, I'm announcing that my time in politics is coming to an end.
My decision to leave was one of my own choice. It was simply because I wasn't ready to run again. I made that very clear that I would not be seeking re-election, but I will be staying on to support the new leader and returning to private life, but always committed to contribute to this province and always committed to support the next leader. If the exit was through the door and gone and not available, I would think it would be a concern, but that was never the plan. Immediately after the after the video went out and the announcement was made, we set up media requests just like the one we're doing here now for people, for today. So, and I'm not going anywhere. I think there's this, this perception out there that which is false, that I'm leaving. I am staying on as the MHA and supporting a new leader. It's just in a very different role.
And south of the border, the iconic Plymouth Rock and other sites were covered in red graffiti earlier this week by vandals discovered at the site, marking the landing of the Pilgrims in Massachusetts 400 years ago. That's sad. And look at this, a 1,640-foot brick wall has been hastily erected in India's Gujarat state ahead of a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump, with critics saying it was built to block the view of a slum area inhabited by more than 2,000 people. And for many Toronto Blue Jay fans, this is an exciting time. Spring training is about to begin in Dunedin, Florida. One Blue Jay has been quite outspoken about the scandal involving the Houston Astros. Shortstop Bo Bichette thinks the Astros players involved in the sign-stealing scandal should have received harsher punishment from Major League Baseball.
Well, first off, I'm glad that I wasn't directly impacted by it. I definitely think that those guys that were, there's so many people, not just the Astros, not just the Dodgers, but not just Judge. There's so many, guys who got hit hard for an inning, all that. So I'm glad it's not me directly impacted, but I don't necessarily think that cheating is bad for the game. I think the way that it was handled is probably bad for the game. The fact that those guys aren't getting in trouble, I guess, per se. So.
In light of the worsening spread of the coronavirus, Christians around the world are being urged to pray for the churches in Wuhan, China, as the epidemic has a major impact on their lives. Steve Fouch with the London-based Christian Medical Fellowship says the epidemic will restrict the ability of churches to gather there.
Yeah, obviously any big social gathering is going to be a challenge, and one of the things that they have done in China is they've shut down almost all the big social gathering places, big sporting events, and of course there was the Chinese Lunar New Year very recently, and virtually nothing was done as a consequence of that because everybody was being encouraged to stay home. So of course that has an impact on churches meeting, home groups getting together. So the chance for fellowship is probably going to be somewhat curtailed for many Christians, and a lot of people will be having to just stay in the family home. And so it'd be good to pray for the Christians there who will be deprived of fellowship to some extent, that they would find encouragement in the Lord and that they would know that there were other believers around and be able to keep in some kind of contact with one another for spiritual support during that time, because it is going to be difficult for them to gather.
AUPE President Guy Smith has gone on record saying Premier Kenney is hurting Albertans but trimming public sector wages. Lethbridge East MLA Nathan Newdorf disagrees and has details right after this short break. Stay with us.